So these are list of activities which are to be done within 72 hours. In SOP, if you will see, the same thing has been given in a text form, and then there is a table. The table is divided by 6 critical functions of GPEI. And in those tables, if you see, it has detail like who will do what, when, while in the text, it's just the listing of activities. So first is, what are these performance standards? So this is first time GPI is setting a performance standards for themselves. And those performance standards have been divided by different time frames. Within 24 hours, it commits to do something. Within 72 hours, it commits to do something. Within 14 days, and from 14 days to closure. And it also mentions of doing assessments, 1 month assessment, 3 month assessment. And these performance standards, it will be applicable as soon as outbreak is notified. So the moment we hear from the lab, it's WPV or CVDPV, whatever is confirmed, the clock starts ticking. So going to what are to be done within 24 hours. I'll just put a slide here for you to see. And this is basically a mixture of tables as well as text. So you see that these are 9 activities which are to be done within 24 hours. And if you will appreciate here that most of these activities are to be done above the country level. So it's like UNICEF headquarters, WHO headquarters, and that's about providing the support and all that. So first thing is the notification of outbreak. The moment information comes, the outbreak OPRTT and EOMG, this and the country, they have to be informed by WHO headquarters. They will notify that, okay, there is this transmission which has been detected in your country. Then WHO and UNICEF country offices, they are expected to go and inform the government that this thing has happened there. Then initiation of epidemiological and social investigation, that is the detailed investigation of the case in the field. So that has to be kick-started within 24 hours. Activation of GPI's rapid response team. Somebody was asking within 72 hours, how can we reach? But within 24 hours, the moment we hear about that there is a notification of case, that RRT will be activated. The process of them moving will start. And advocacy for visa on arrival. Then identification of focal points from agencies. WHO, UNICEF, Ministry of Health, everybody is expected to identify focal points for that outbreak within 24 hours. At WHO country office and headquarters, they will do a rapid analysis of SIA, surveillance, and EPI data, whichever is available. And a teleconference will be established for GPI partners, country office, and regional office. So, which will be daily during the first week to track the response. And after that, it will be weekly. And the country office is expected to assess on-ground human resource capacity available, whether it's from UNICEF, WHO, ministry, and what extra support is required. And that will be communicated to headquarters. And we know that outbreaks, past outbreaks, at least in past 2 years, have taken place in the areas which are security and access compromised. You look at Horn of Africa, Somalia was problem. You look at Middle East, both Iraq and Syria were problem. You look at South Sudan, it was 3 conflict-affected states and virus went there. You look at Central African, you have CAR there. So it's a conflict-affected states where you get the problem. So that's why that there has to be within 24 hours, the security and access situation assessment. Now, going from 24 hours to 72 hours. You can see that there is an initiate communication of outbreak with the broader donor community, deploy the rapid response team. And this is talking about deploy. So that is within 72 hours, they have to reach on the ground. Then check availability and order and initiate the transport of vaccine so that it is available within country by the 10th day or something so that you can have campaign within 14 days. And provide the updated material and guideline, initiate process of deployment of human resource search capacity. So that is the team which is to arrive within 21 days. That process also has to be initiated. Convene a meeting of all key stakeholders at the national level. So the Ministry of Health has to take a lead and convene a meeting of all the stakeholders present at the national level to implement response activities. Somebody was telling, I think it was somebody was telling that we involve national governments, but we do not involve sub-national governments. And here there is the step that communicate to the provinces and districts which are involved in the outbreak response of what activities are to be taken. Then start preparation for first outbreak response immunization activity, and it has many subtasks. That is, you should have a task force for overall coordination, you should develop micro plan, you should start planning for the training, and you should start planning for the monitoring, and initiate enhanced surveillance activities. So by this time, report of that detailed investigation, including epi and social, should be finalized and shared across the partnership. Then initiate the development of 6-month outbreak response plan. And SITREP. SITREP is a very important thing. Whichever country has not experienced outbreak, they may not know about it. But when the outbreak happens in any country, it is expected a situation report will be produced on weekly basis, giving detail about epidemiology, surveillance, SIAs, coordination-related thing, human resource, and search. We will discuss detail about that tomorrow. And coordinate with health cluster and other partners for joint interventions and taking support. That is very important, particularly in case of complex humanitarian emergencies, where it may not be possible to take the vaccine standalone, but when you combine with other like WFP, which is providing the food packets and all, that may be very useful. For communication and social mobilization, we have divided activities into 2 different components for ease of understanding. One is media, second is C4D. So for media related, we have 5 activities. First is identify a media focal person and spokesperson from government, WHO, and UNICEF. Conduct a media landscape analysis. It should be done that what are different medias available, what is their perception about polio, and particularly this outbreak. Finalize the media protocol and kit with the key messages and produce media brief. And you can see that there are some which are highlighted, like UNICEF has been highlighted, and that is, for this activity, UNICEF will take lead and provide support to Ministry of Health in doing this. Then conduct a press brief or media release, if appropriate. Again, you have to use the judgment that whether the media policy should be reactive or proactive, whether you need to actually call a press brief or you need to just respond if and when the question comes. Then receive and review all media release and news feeds, and this will actually help you to devise your media plan. For C4D, 4 activities. First is share the C4D polio toolkit and the list of long-term agreements that country office can immediately use to accelerate the response. Finalize key C4D messages to communicate through various channels, including mass media. Target other non-media communication channels, which could be used more effectively in certain settings. And initiate the development of communication and social mobilization, part of 6-month outbreak response plan. I want to highlight this. When we are developing outbreak response plan, it's not that, okay, this is outbreak response plan, this is social mobilization plan. It's all woven together. So outbreak response plan should include the component of social mobilization and communication plan. For finance and logistics, so 2 activities: evaluate country office administrative capacities and gaps and find solutions. Here the action is more country office will do assessment. They will communicate to OPRTT, Outbreak Preparedness and Response Task Team, and Outbreak Preparedness Response Task Team is tasked to provide the solutions, whatever extra resources are needed for that. WHO and UNICEF headquarters are supposed to allocate lump sum funding to the country to trigger the response, rather than looking for everything for approval and from where the money is going to come. For special circumstances, and that's a complex emergencies, these are 7 activities to be done within 72 hours. First is field level assessment by security advisor. So if you have UNDSS advisor, or in some instances we have polio security person who is from headquarters, like yesterday we heard Paul Carlson used to be polio security person, or in Nairobi we have Patrick Beaufort. So he is supposed to do the field level assessment. Then in complex humanitarian emergency, we want to deploy all the teams, rapid response team, which has experience of working in that condition. So there might be some people who have past experience of working in Syria or Somalia or South Sudan. So we will prefer to deploy people there, like Mohammadi, who has been experience of working in Peshawar and Northeast. So we will prefer to put such people there who have experience of handling these emergencies. Then identify the key stakeholder influencers group which are working in the area. So that's another first step which you have to do, identify that who are available, who are the key influencers. Inform the UN resident coordinator and humanitarian country team. That's a OCHA and UN resident coordinator. They should be taken into the loop that this has happened, mobilize them. Then coordinate with UNDSS to see that what's the possibility of doing campaign in which area. Initiate development of an access plan, including C4D component. Now, this is another big area of work, access plan. All the partnership, GPI, including WHO, UNICEF, CDC, they have come together, they have developed an access approach, access strategy, which we will deal in detail later, that what all different components it includes. Then initiate coordination with other UN and humanitarian agencies on the ground. As I mentioned that many places you may not have access, the government may not have access, but other humanitarian agencies like WFP might be having access, or like FAO. FAO may have access. For example, Somalia. In Somalia, you cannot deliver polio vaccination campaign in some 38 districts of South Central Somalia, while FAO can deliver the animal vaccination because their people are more interested in camels and cattle. So you have to look at all the possible humanitarian players, and you have to initiate dialogue with them. By these performance standards, we are setting the bar. We want these things to be done within this much time. And when we are going to do 1 month assessment, we are going to look at whether we were able to perform these things within the time frame which we have committed ourselves to. And again, as we know that the target is to stop the transmission within 120 days, so we actually don't have much time. And as Arshad said in the morning, that the key thing in any outbreak response is speed.